Hey folks, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to what is most definitely going to be a weekly series here on the channel where we talk about each new episode of Toilet-bound Hanako. Because, yeah, I'm in for the long haul after this week's episode. Before we get into the video proper though, I do want to give a big thank you to those of you who shared last week's video over on Twitter. At Aries Bork, at Senku Cola, at A Watchful Welsh, at V Dorogu, at Kata Diaz Ol 2, at Mr. A4769, at Bubblubber, at FireOtaku 845, at Kisachan 94, and at KJ Creed. Thanks so much for sharing last week's video, everybody. It is super appreciated. And if you too would like to have your name shouted out in next week's Toilet-bound Hanako video, then be sure to share this video around on the internet and then tag me at JoJo Talks Too Much over on Twitter, and I will be sure to shout out the first 10 of you in next week's video. Alrighty, so without further ado, we got 4 things that we gotta talk about in regards to this week's episode of Toilet-bound Hanako-kun. Namely, I want to talk about Yashiro's new normal. I want to talk about the mysterious thief, the monster of the week, if you will, Yosei-san. I also want to talk about the rules of the spirit world, as well as the exorcist Minamoto. I am terrible at pronunciation, but I am sure you guys know that because every comment tells me how annoying my pronunciation is. Anyway, sorry, topic for another day. Let's go ahead and start with Yashiro's new normal, because this is where we open the episode, so it feels appropriate to start there. And namely, we find our girl Yashiro, who some people apparently had issue with. I saw some comments on last week's video that really bummed me out. People kind of poking fun at her seiyuu, or people just not liking the character. Which kind of blows my mind because, like I feel like the whole point of her character is that she's going to grow and change as the show goes on. At least that's the vibe that I'm getting. It's not like she got over all of her issues from last week. She's still trying to trying to not fall for people just for the sake of falling for people. That's still an issue she's going to try to overcome. It didn't just fix itself miraculously last week, and I genuinely really appreciate that. I like the idea that we're going to be going on a journey with these characters. And sure, if you don't like Yashiro, that's fine. I mean, it's all subjective, but to me, I actually quite like her character. I like where Iro Ida seems to want to go with her character and the slow burn of growth for that character. I genuinely find her fun to see on screen, especially in her interactions with Hanako, who is most definitely using our poor girl. Like, he's playing like, no, that's silly, but like he definitely is. And if you say he's not, I'm sorry, he definitely is. Like he's totally just trying to get her to like do his cleaning for him, since he probably doesn't feel like it, and somebody's got to clean the bathroom. The boy lives there. So yeah, nah, he's definitely using her, but I do think that he also genuinely sees her as his friend, because it's like we get these scenes with him where if they were like him manipulating her, I would be shocked, just because they felt incredibly genuine. And they could be him manipulating. He is that kind of character where you don't necessarily know if he's telling you the truth or not when he tells you something. So Hanako he's basically Kid Loki from the Marvel comics, but a ghost in a Japanese high school, specifically a Japanese high school's girls' bathroom. Very specific, I know, but he does kind of give me that Loki vibe where you can't really trust him. He's a bit of a trickster, bit of a mischievous character. Like I said, and I pointed that out last week as well. So it does bear repeating that he is that type of character where you don't necessarily know if you can 100% buy everything that he is selling. However, I do buy that he does view Yashiro as a friend. I don't think that he would treat her like the way that he is treating her if he didn't care to some degree. He really does genuinely find her interesting. And he even has this line later on where he says, like, humans are so fragile, or like humans die so easily, something like that. And he says it like looking at her with like this fond smile. And I feel like he wouldn't probably care as much about saving Yashiro if it wasn't already, if Yashiro wasn't already his friend, if that like dynamic wasn't already present. He would still save whoever it was, like if it was some other student. Hanako is the type of person, well, ghost, who would go out of their way to save somebody. They just strike me as a good person. But I do feel like the fact that it was Yashiro, he does care about her, and he does want to be her friend, to be around her. I don't know if he's genuinely serious with the romantic stuff, because he kind of keeps teasing her, like, you don't need a Prince Charming when you've got me. Stuff like that, and he's a little possessive. It's a little like, okay, you smothering just a tad bit there, Hanako. You can back off a little bit, my boy. The ship, I don't know how I feel about the Hanako Yashiro ship. I'm gonna need time. To debate this one. I will get back to you on that. But yeah, I do think the whole new normal is fun. Yashiro being indebted to Hanako, literally having to do what he says, is fun, and she just wants to go home. She just wants to enjoy the springtime of her youth. But alas, somebody's got to clean them toilets, because Hanako's not going to do it, because the boy's lazy. And a ghost. I don't know if he can actually clean up. Maybe he can. I mean, we've seen that he can interact with material things. I guess Hanako's just lazy. I mean, fair. The other thing that we have to talk about in regards to this week's episode is, of course, the monster of the week. Now, I don't know if we're necessarily going to continue getting separate yokai or ghosts or apparitions, whatever you want to say, different monsters each week. I'm not super sure, but it does seem that way. Judging off the fact that we had the mermaid from last week, we have the yosei in this episode, and we seem to be getting like phantom stairs next week. But next week is a two-parter. So does it count as a monster of the week if the monster lasts for more than one episode? Questions to truly ponder. These are life's true questions. However, we are not here to talk about next week's Phantom Stairs. We are here to talk about the mysterious, ghostly thief, the yosei. Or I guess sort of like a collection of spirits, kind of like how Doug Trio is a collection of Diglets. You know, that kind of thing, where technically they're referred to by one name, but it is a group of things. Strange. But anyway, the yosei, or yosei-san, is vaguely, and this will seem weird, vaguely gave me Morio's Ghost Alley from JoJo's Part 4. Now, if you've seen Part 4, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I won't go into too much detail. It's not a super spoiler to know what the Ghost Alley is, but basically it's these hands that reach out and they grab you, and if you turn around to look at them, the hands will reach out, grab you, and pull you away, like basically take your soul into somewhere. It's actually pretty damn creepy. And the way that they spin the tale of of Yosei-san in this week's episode, it did give me those vibes where like it takes things, which is not what the ghost hands do from the Ghost Alley, but the idea that if you look at it, the hands reach out, grab you, and pull you into nothingness. Like, that is very Ghost Alley to me. And I kind of got that vibe, and I thought that what we were going to see is just like a ghostly figure, like a shadowy figure, and then hands emerging from that figure. But no, it is significantly scarier than that. Well, I don't know if it is scarier than that. I don't know what I would have wanted, but I like what I was given, and that is a big, blobby, creepy monster thing with eyeballs everywhere. In order to properly talk about poor Yashiro stumbling across Yosei-san, I'm going to have to quote one of my favorite channels here on YouTube, Dead Meat, and I just gotta point out that was spooky! Yes, indeed, to quote the man James from Dead Meat, it was indeed spooky. It was very creepy. The way that like Yashiro sort of stumbles across everybody's belongings, since the yosei keeps like stealing random things. And so she stumbles across them, and she keeps like picking up all the different items, and I'm thinking like, didn't you hear your friend? Like, if you see the thing, it's gonna try to kill you. Maybe don't. Maybe don't follow the trail of items, but Yashiro does anyway. And like, again, I like Yashiro, but that was a dumb moment. That was a poor decision on my girl's part, and she does it anyway, and she sees the thing, and I was thinking like, okay, like maybe it's not so bad. And then it turns and it's like, you saw us, and like bursts out of that room. And I was like, creepy. It wasn't like the most horrific thing I've ever seen or anything. It was cartoony enough to not be like absolutely horrifying. But it was still pretty creepy. I'm not gonna lie, I was actually pretty thankful when Hanako showed up. I'm like, oh, thank God my boy's here. Phew. Because, yeah, that thing was kind of scary. That scene was quite spooky. It was very spooky. But not to worry, because it's not spooky the entire time. No, it actually becomes less spooky and more spoopy. Because indeed, they're not bad. They're just rumored that way, because Yosei-san is actually the Moki, or the Maki. I wrote it down as Moki. So M-O-K-K-E, Moki? I think it's Moki. Regardless, they are adorable little bunny-looking things, and they're just originally they're just little pranksters. They just went around playing pranks on humans and stealing their stuff, like little things, not big things, just little things, and I think they're adorable. I actually like the Moke quite a bit. I hope they stick around. In the cast list, they're actually listed as like one of the main characters, or not main character, but one of the side characters that you see in the show. So I assume they'll show up for other episodes. I really like them, and immediately after seeing them, I was like, I want a plushie of that. I will take 10. Not really. But speaking of the Moki, this leads us nicely into the biggest thing for me of the episode, at least in my opinion, the most intriguing part of the episode. And that is the rules of the apparitions that we see in the school. I guess the rules of the spirit world, we'll say. And they're very, very interesting. Like I said, they're super intriguing. And I love the idea that the Moki are not the same as they were a few generations ago, because the rumors about them changed. Now, this is very, almost like, there's an episode of Supernatural, and I'm having a hard time remembering which episode, but it's one of like the earlier seasons back when the show was still super good. It is now just pretty good nowadays, but like back, like during the early seasons of Supernatural, is super good. And they had this concept that the rumors and belief of people actually shaped the spirit world, and that seems to be the same case here with Hanako. And I love that idea. And Supernatural's not the only one who plays with that idea. Even in Marvel Comics, they actually play with the idea that the Norse gods only exist because once upon a time people believed in them, and their powers come from the fact that people just believe that they have that power. But then again, that's something that Loki told Thor in the Avengers, so is that actually true? Who knows? But I like that concept. I like the idea that the apparitions sort of function on this metaphysical level. Like, they're not necessarily part of our world, so they have to conform to the beliefs of our world in order to interact with the real world. I find that really, really fascinating, and I love the idea that the rumors change over time, so the apparitions change over time. So it makes sense that the Moki were fun-loving pranksters at first, but as the rumor changed and as people changed, the nature of the Moki changed along with them. No more were they just fun little pranksters that were coming to steal your car keys or anything like that. No. They would kill you if you saw them. So because of that, that's why the Moki attacked Yashiro earlier. Not because they wanted to, because they have to. Because if they don't follow the rules, they would cease to be in that plane of existence. They would just cease to exist at all, and that's so interesting. I really hope that they play with this more. I find like the background lore of the series so fascinating, and I've seen a lot of comments. Like, I do read the comments, I'm just too shy to really reply to most of them, but I've seen a lot of comments saying that like the series is just getting started, and this episode really feels like that, and that's not a knock. It just really feels like the series is slowly teasing a lot of really cool ideas that it's going to play with later on, and we're just kind of setting up the pieces right now, and I really find that super fascinating. This is like watching two chess masters just setting up the board, and then you know some stuff's going to pop off any second, and I really like that. It's just setting up the pieces, just setting up the board, and then things are going to explode. I really get that feeling. I feel like Toilet-bound Hanako is just like, again, like it's going to be something really special. Even Hanako himself is a fascinating character, since he is taking up this sort of protector role as one of the 7 wonders of the school. The school has like these 7 like wonders about them, like these 7 like myths about the school, and Hanako is one of them, and so he has to take up this sort of protector role. I don't know if all the 7 wonders have that same protector role to them, or if each of the 7 wonders has like a different purpose that they have to fulfill in the school. But I like the idea that Hanako is there to sort of protect the school, like keep things in check, protect the humans, keep the balance between the spirits and the people, like the still living folk. I really like that concept as well. It's just interesting. Like the rules are fun. I need to have the rules. I need to have a book of the rules so that I may read them, because it's just really, really cool stuff. And that sort of leads us into the final point that I want to talk about in regards to this week's episode, and that is the new character, the exorcist, Ko Minamoto. I keep wanting to call him Kyo. I really miss Furuba, it seems. But yes, we meet Ko in this week's episode, and I like him. I wasn't sure how I was gonna feel about him. I saw him in the OP, right? That shot in the OP where it's the 3 of them like kind of like crashing into each other. It looks like they're gonna be like a trio, and I think Ko is interesting enough already. I need more, obviously, to kind of get me to care a little bit more about his character, but attacking my boy right off the top is not a good start, because I was already like, if you don't back up off my Animu son, I will backhand you into next week. My ghostly son. Actually, I don't want kids of my own, so I will say my Animu ghost nephew, I will backhand you into next week. Animu ghost nephew, what the hell? What I'm trying to say is don't attack Hanako, even though Hanako can protect himself, but we don't know that initially. And I liked the fact that we actually got to see parts of the fight this week. It wasn't like last week where it was more like, you see like the single shot of him like cutting down the mermaid. We actually do get to have like a little bit of a back and forth. It's still pretty one-sided. Like at the beginning of the fight, it looks like Minamoto might have Hanako's number, but it ain't that way. Like immediately Hanako's like, yeah, no, I was just screwing with you. I'm actually like way stronger than you. You need to go home, little boy. Like you shouldn't have messed with me. And I was like, yeah, that's right. That's my Animu ghost nephew. But I think the most interesting thing about this meeting between Ko, Yashiro, and Hanako is not the fight itself, although that was cool. It is actually the fact that Ko reveals a little bit about Hanako's backstory to Yashiro, as well as the audience, and it is darker than I thought it was going to be. Apparently, Hanako is a super duper evil spirit, and I kind of figured that Hanako wasn't like necessarily a good spirit, you know what I mean? I knew he wasn't exactly Casper the Friendly Ghost. I knew to some degree he was a little sinister, but I don't think he's necessarily evil. I do feel like we're not getting the whole truth, you know what I mean? Because Ko says like, my grandmother or grandfather, I don't remember who it was, one of his grandparents like tried to seal away Hanako because he was a super evil spirit who attacked people with a kitchen knife, and the kitchen knife is a hallmark of his past life where he used that knife to murder somebody. And I'm thinking like, my boy didn't kill anybody. And then immediately Hanako's like, well, cat's out of the bag. And he like grabs Yashiro, and I had a chill go down my spine. I was like, excuse the hell out of me? What the hell did you just say? Yeah, so Hanako murdered somebody. And I am taking him at his word on that. I really do think he did kill somebody. I could be wrong. Maybe it's all, again, maybe it's just part of the rules. Maybe that's just the rumor that people have about Hanako, so that's what Hanako does now. I don't know. But again, fascinating stuff. Who knows what Hanako's past is? We may never know. We'll probably find out, but we may never know. Hanako is up there for one of the more interesting characters in the winter season, because as Yashiro points out, the last line of the episode, in fact, we don't really know much about Hanako. We know that we like him, but we don't know a whole lot about him. And so I'm excited to see what happens next week. The fact that next week is a 2-parter has me thinking like maybe we'll get some more lore tidbits, maybe we'll learn a little bit more about Hanako, stuff like that. Anytime there's a two-parter, you know it's about to go down. And I thought it went down at the end of this episode, but something tells me next week is gonna get crazy. But on that note, everybody, I am going to wrap up my thoughts here. I am once again going to give Hanako another A tier. This was a A tier episode. I am trying really hard to be more strict with my ratings. An A tier is meant to be like, wow, that was pretty great. And this was pretty great. It wasn't just good, it was great. So it has to get an A tier. Really good stuff. And that's gonna do it for today's video, everybody, so I hope you guys enjoyed, and before we go, as always, I have to give a big thank you to the good folks over on Patreon, especially those in the Earl Grey tier: Andrew W., Calvin A., Crowbar of Irony, Daniel G., Digger the Fox, Dominic G., Ionos, Urza, Ginkutaku, Godzilla Fan, No For Nothing, Maria Teresa, Marshall B., Mirth Mouser, Cell, Shadow Creative, Sipco Games, Somastan, Stephen G., Sakochi, Tristan G., and Verdon. A huge thank you to all of you in the T Squadron for your continued support, and if you too would like to join the T Squadron, then be sure to check out the first link in the description to check out our Patreon page, see all the cool rewards you can get over there, as well as access to our Patreon exclusive Discord for as little as $1 a month. And with that said, we're going to wrap up today's video, everybody, so thank you all once again for watching, and if you are feeling stressed out today, then you go have yourself a warm cup of tea, and I will talk to you all again real soon.